Today I want to talk to you about a frustrating situation that happens to almost every single Amazon seller. You're restricted from selling a brand, you apply to sell that brand, you are approved to sell that brand, you send in inventory, you start selling that particular brand, and then all of a sudden you find yourself restricted from selling that particular brand, that particular ASIN, and you're like, what? I was approved in the past, why am I not approved now? Let me walk you through exactly what's going on and how you can increase your chances of getting reapproved after getting re-restricted. So first we need to understand why Amazon has these restrictions. Amazon has these restrictions and most of them are decided by the particular brand themselves. A brand wants to, number one, avoid counterfeiters. And so a lot of times they'll just put a restriction on that particular brand to avoid counterfeiters. And they might just say, you know what, if an Amazon seller has at least 6 months of selling experience, of selling legit items, then hey, we know that we can trust them, that they're not trying to sell counterfeits. So, we'll let people who have, had 6 months of experience, we'll allow them to sell our particular brand. And that's like usually the minimum that some brands do. Just one little bit of experience from their sellers. A second reason some brands restrict their items from being sold by every Amazon seller is because they want to protect their brand reputation. And so, again, they'll put a time limit on how long people can have been selling on Amazon in order to sell this, but they also want to make sure that their customers are getting top rate performance from the people who are selling those items. And so these brands will set up different parameters that, the sellers of this brand need to have, this many feedback or this percentage feedback score. They need to have this type of customer service score. They need to have this, minimum number of returns that are allowed. They have different parameters and just imagine like a big, huge, box with tons of little knobs on it. And so each brand gets to decide what type of experience and what type of sellers are allowed. And so some brands are okay with certain number of feedback and other brands are okay with, a certain number amount of returns, different types of customer service metrics that we have. Our Amazon account has a lot of different metrics involved. So different brands like to decide that they will only allow certain sellers that meet those qualifications to be approved to sell their brands. So why all of a sudden, if I was approved to sell it in the past, am I not approved to sell it today? So there's two different possible reasons why. Number one reason, and this is probably what is happening most of the time. The number one reason is that your seller metrics have fallen beneath the minimum standard from that brand. That brand has a certain number, and there's no way to know exactly what it is, but our seller metrics have fallen below their minimum allowance. And so we were approved in the past, but maybe our feedback score was hurt. Maybe we're not replying to our customer service email questions fast enough. Maybe we're starting to get a few number of returns that are deemed as excessive by that particular brand. And so we no longer meet that minimum, and so we are re-restricted. Second reason why we might be re-restricted from a brand that we were approved to sell in the past is that the brand decided to raise their minimum standards. So you're not doing anything differently. The brand just decided to, crank up those knobs a notch to, increase their minimum standards. Sometimes they do that permanently, where they're just going to increase their standards permanently. And you just have to work and try to get your metrics up to be able to sell that. And one of the metrics is just time as a seller, the experience that you have as a seller. So they might, have allowed you to come in at 6 months of selling and approve you then, but they decided, we would rather have people have a year experience of selling on Amazon. So they crank that up a little bit, and now you're re-restricted, but you might be able to get approved again in the future. Sometimes brands will increase their minimums, the minimum accepted standard temporarily. And one of the most common times is during Q4. So a lot of times in November, October and November, a lot of brands decide, during the Christmas selling season, we're going to crank it up a few notches on our minimum standards. And then after Q4 is over, we're going to turn it back down and just kind of allow other people to be able to sell the item now. So just know if it's Q4, you're close to Q4, that might be why you're restricted now. But maybe after Q4, you'll be approved again. So either your metrics have fallen below the standards or the brand themselves has decided to raise their minimum standards. So those are the possible reasons why you got re-restricted. So let's focus on how you can get re-approved. Anytime you see yourself selling a restricted item, it's in your inventory, it went to inactive, and it says the reason why is because you're suspended, and you're like, I was just approved, a few days ago, or I've already sold like 10 of these. Why am I being, restricted now? Now you know. So what can you do to improve your chances to get reaccepted? Start working on your seller metrics. Anytime the Amazon Seller app, put it on your phone. Anytime you get a question from a customer or a potential customer, reply to those messages as soon as possible. Work on your feedback score. I totally recommend using Feedback Genius. Feedback Genius is something that sends out messages to your customers when it's going to arrive and say, hey, your item's going to arrive today. If there's a problem, please contact me and I'll do what I can to fix it. But if there's no problem, could you leave me an honest feedback? And here's an easy link to leave that feedback. So you're doing two things. You're avoiding the negative by telling people, contact me and I'll do what I can to fix it if there's a problem. And you're getting more positive feedback by saying, hey, if everything was okay with this order, here's a link where you can give me honest feedback. I'd really appreciate it. So those are the options that you have to help increase your feedback. And then, of course, there's other things that you can do to make sure that, the items that you're selling don't have a high return rate. Figure out why people are returning certain items. See if you can fix that. Maybe something's deceptive on the sales page, the product page. Maybe your items are getting banged up and you're buying stuff that aren't really in new condition. It's got a ding corner and you're like, well, it's still new because it hasn't been used. No, it needs to be gift quality, new condition. And so maybe you need to improve your sourcing, thought process when you're deciding, hey, I'm going to sell this as new. Maybe you shouldn't sell that item as new. Maybe you need to do it in like new if there's a blemish on the package. So a lot of different ways that you can help increase your metrics and get them better. But again, there's no way to know exactly what's going on. There's no way to know what the new minimum standards are. There's no way to know what the cutoff is. And so you just do everything that you can to improve yourself, improve your seller metrics, improve your customer service metrics, your feedback metrics, and do what you can to make those better. And as you continue to gain more and more experience on Amazon, so then you just go back and try to reapply to sell those items in the future. Now, I know it's really frustrating, and it's frustrating if you go deep on an item and it's in stranded inventory. Maybe you can return those items to yourself, store them at your house, wait 6 months or 3 months, and try to reapply again in the future to see if you've been able to improve your metrics. So those are the options that you have. Focus on improving your metrics. Focus on your patience skills, because a lot of times it's really frustrating. I have inventory, I want to sell, but you can't because you're not approved yet. So you can go reapply to get approved again in the future, and then send it in to do that. So hopefully this will help you with your Amazon business and will help you understand what's going on and what you can do to better increase your chances of getting reapproved to sell that particular brand, that particular ASIN in that particular category. Well, this has been Steven Smotherman. I really appreciate you watching this video. I hope I've been some helpful. If you want some more helpful videos, be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and come to the blog, fulltimefba.com. Be sure you subscribe. You get a couple of free PDF downloads that will help your Amazon business run much smoother, as well as get coupon codes and video walkthroughs and blog posts and reviews and all sorts of good stuff, all focused on making a full-time income with only part-time hours via Amazon FBA. Have a great day, everybody. God bless. Take it easy. Bye.